happy to see you all here. We just wanted to extend a very, very warm welcome to all of those who have ended up here. Just to start off the session, my name is Dhananjay, or you can also call me DJ. And I've done one of these sessions in the last week, and this is just a sequel to the last session and probably an improved version as well. I have with me Arshita, who is a 750 scorer on the GMAT. So Arshita is just going to introduce herself quickly, and then we're going to jump into the webinar.
Hi guys, so my name is Arshita and I'm not at all good with studies and still I have a 750. So all the best to all you
Very
guys.
cool. Very cool, Arshita. Thank you so much. So let's just jump into the presentation, and let me tell you why all of us are here today, right? So a lot of us begin our GMAT journeys in the same way. We all make the same mistakes, and at the end of the day, it's very, very important to know how to get to this milestone of 750, right? So it's very, very important that you understand the idea of doing this session is to hear it from someone who did it, learn from their experience, and then do it even better, right? To begin with this session, I have three questions for you. So my first question is, are you struggling with a sub 700 level score, right? Is it are you stuck in the 600 to 700 range? Have you been studying for months and see zero improvement? And finally, are you taking too long to solve those verbal or quant questions? Now, if your answer is yes, I mean, I would love to see, a yes or a no from you, and this would give me a better impression of the kind of people that I'm addressing here today. So we'd just love to see your comments, and we'll wait for you to, just respond to that, and then we'll move on with the presentation. So, are you struggling? Are you struggling with, verbal and quant questions taking much longer? Have you been studying for months on end, 7 or 8 months, and just stuck with that 620, 640, 680 score? Or have you given the GMAT 3 or 4 times and still end up getting that 680 score? I mean, that's extremely discombobulating, right? To see that score at the end of so much of effort that you put in. So let's get in those comments to see if you are facing any one of these issues at all. Let's just wait for a minute or two. Right. So just moving on. I mean, we'll get those comments, but here is a established fact. 750 on the GMAT is super hard. It's genuinely very hard. It's no walk in the park. And let me give you context as to why I'm saying this, right? It's a very mathematical thing. So out of 200,000 people that actually take this exam every single year, you see just about 2,500 people actually scoring a 750 plus. So that basically means that there's just a 2% chance of you getting a 750 plus score, right? And that's exactly why it is so hard to score well on the GMAT, which is why you're also here to figure out how to get there, right? Now, which this is a position where you stand right now. You've put in the time, which is you put in the number of hours. So this is, by the way, a lot of time and effort. So you spend months on end just studying and studying, and then you've also done a bunch of questions, right? And when you combine both of these, time and effort, you would like to see a good result. So, anecdotally speaking, the result that you are probable to get is just a 10% chance of success. And 10%, let me just emphasize 10%. This is after months and months of study. So 500 hours is basically 3 to 4 months of study, and 3,000 odd questions is again around 3 months of study, right? So that's a lot of studying that you're doing with just a mere success rate. But here is something that I and Arshita want to share with you, and we want to tell you that there's a better way of doing it, right? You can spend lesser time, you can spend lesser effort, but guess what? You can also be 8 times successful, right? Now, this may seem as something that's extraordinary, so it's out of the box, and something that is even unattainable, but it's not, because Arshita did it, right? And that's exactly what we are going to be discussing today. Now, here is a fact of life, frankly, and it's a very simple fact. There's two kinds of people. There's hardworking people, and there's smart working people. Now, the very fact that you're here for this session today shows me that you're smart people, and you want to ensure that you're giving yourself the best chance to achieve or attain success on the GMAT, right? So, These are the people, these are 50% of people who actually work on data driven feedback. Data is something I'm going to give to you. But here is what I want to talk about just for a minute. There are 50% of the other people who are not here today. It does not mean that they're not successful. Frankly, they are successful. But let's look at their success rate first. So 10% of these people are successful. Why? Because they have the innate ability of doing well on exams, or they're just masters of sentence correction or quant whizzes and so on and so forth. But they're using the brute force approach, which is why their success rate, which I'm going to take you back to that slide where I said it's 10%, because that is the statistic. Right? But now let's talk about the smart working people, because the very fact that you're here, we want to talk about that. Now, the idea of being a smart worker is to ensure that you learn from others' mistakes, right? You learn from their mistakes and you learn from what they did right as well, which is why you need to learn from Arshita today. And then she's going to be telling you on what you need to do to really get that score. Now, the 10% of people who do get successful of working on data driven feedback, there's again, you group that out into two. So smart workers are either methodical or they're not methodical. So there's certain smart workers who follow a proper method in madness, and the certain one says, this is not for me. I can still get things done. Now, here is the thing. The beauty with those smart workers who are methodical is you improve your chances of success by 4 times immediately. That's just a sudden jump, right? And this is not to say that those smart workers that have not created a proper plan or don't have that method are not as successful. They are improving their chances of success too, but not as much, right? And then that's something that you need to understand very, very clearly. And finally, there are a bunch of data points that you can use as feedback, and just to keep you consistent, that's one piece, and the other piece is feedback on the kind of effort that you're putting in, and the time that you're putting into the course, right? So with e-GMAT, you've offered 250 plus data points to do that. And in the smart workers, there are people who take feedback on this. They write back to us and say, listen, tell me what I'm doing wrong, tell me, is this okay, is this not okay? And again, the rates of success increase by 4 times again. So at the end of the day, you're going to improve your chances of success by 8 times. It's a very mathematical thing, right? You're just doing the right things, you're following the right steps. That again, this is not to say that the people without feedback also improve their chances of success by 3x. So guess what Arshita did? Arshita followed the right path. So now you have 5 groups of people here, and I want to know from you guys, which group do you want to follow? Do you want to follow in A, B, C, D, or E? So let's get your answers in. Let's get a fair understanding of whether you understand this improvement of just working on data, getting the right plan, then improving our chances of success by just working on this feedback that you get by 8x. So I'm going to repeat it to you throughout the course of this presentation. This is frankly it's not magic. It's just something that it's very, very real and it's very possible. So which group do you see yourself lying in? Perfect. So Devabrata says he's in group D, which is perfect. That's the idea of having this presentation. Now, if you're already in group D, here is what you need to do. So Arshad is going to share a link with you where you get a chance to really work with us and really improve your chances of success by 8x, right? And that's this link is going to take you to this particular page over here. Now, as you can clearly see, there's very few people who have this chance of success of getting to the 740, right? And what do we facilitate? We're facilitating you to get feedback, create a proper plan, and just get feedback and objective feedback on where your preparation is versus where it needs to be. So just go and click on this button. It's a very simple thing. Help me score a 740. And I wish I had done that as well. Go and click on this, book a call with us, and I'm pretty sure that we'd help improve your chances of success by 8x, right? Let's get back to the presentation now. Now, who am I? And I've been ranting on for about 5 to 8 minutes. My name is Dhananjay, like I said. I've scored a 700 on the GMAT myself with a perfect score of Q51. So I relate to all of this. This is innate to me as well, and I kind of really understand what you guys are going through, which is why This is so very close to me. I work at the strategy team here at e-GMAT, and over the course of the past 6 months, I've helped a bunch of students. I'm not going to put a number on it, but yeah, I've helped a lot of students become successful. And you must understand, getting a person to become successful is a very, very subjective metric. If you teach a person how to study right, they'll always be able to do it in the future as well, and that is true success. Right. Just a little bit about the team that I work in. We have Arshit, who's the co-host of this session. We have Ashutosh, myself, and then Nava. What do we do? What are we doing all day long? So we spend a lot of time just making sure that we give you the right kind of support, and we do this 24/7. You're gonna be getting a reply from us on all days of the week: Christmas, New Year's, Gandhi Jayanti, every single holiday, because we are so ingrained to make you successful, and we're incentivized on it, right? Which is why we want to do that for you as well. The rest of our time goes into ensuring that we take critical feedback from you. It's very important to understand that no product is really perfect, and we have to keep adapting to change to understand what you guys need. And that's the kind of time that we spend on improving our product as well. And you can see that improvement in the way Scholaranium now can measure your real time average timing data to see that are you taking too long in verbal and con questions, which is again something that this webinar is going to help solve. And finally, I then think this is the most important and key piece of evidence. Why do we know so much about students? Why do we know so much that we can say that, for example, you as a student have gone wrong here, or you've done this right or this wrong? Because we spent hours and hours of effort looking at ESRs, looking at student cases to understand, well, these are the kinds of mistakes that people make, or these are the kind of things they do correctly, to tell you that this is probably something you did as well. And that's where most of our time goes, right? So what does this translate to in terms of numbers? We get a lot of emails, and in my daily routine, I'll be replying to a lot of emails. But here is what is important: these numbers are really, really important. However, I want you to look at the 83% there. Now 83% is basically how satisfied people are with us. So basically every 4 in 5 people is really satisfied with the response again. Why is that so now? It's about the quality of responses, not just the number of or the volume of responses that we're sending out, but the quality and the kind of time we take to really analyze where you're at is, and that's extremely important to us. And the score is obviously comparable to companies like Apple and Samsung, right? Now, as a resultant of all of this, as a resultant of the 8x methodology and where it came from, frankly, is something that you would see in student debriefs that I, Arshit, and Ashutosh and Nava have worked with. Now, Yashvi came to us, and she was really struggling over her last 5 or 6 attempts. And again, she was stuck with her verbal scores, and she was stuck between the 600 to 700 range, right? So here is what we did. She was a smart person. Tick, that's A. Let's improve her success by giving her the right study plan. Let's help her give feedback on 250 plus data points, and in addition to data points in your mocks. So these are the Sigma X mocks that we analyzed and that I analyzed with her. And then we helped her create the right plan across the entire way. So what did I essentially do by doing all of these things? I just improved her chances of success. Yashvi is always going to be successful because she's super smart. She's a really nice person, uh, and she's very hardworking. But I just improved her chances of success by doing those just A, B, C, D, E things, right? And this is something that you'll see across with Arshit. You'll see it with Ashutosh. You'll see it with Noah. Right. Now, I always believe there's strength in numbers, and it's very, very important for us uh, to tell you that there is strength in our numbers, because if you look at the number of verified reviews that you can see online, and verified is very important here. These are people with actual GMAT scores, and there's a proper process to really get them to really verify the reviews. You'd see that the number of reviews that you see with e-GMAT today are one, obviously maximum, as you can see. But if you sum up all of these other test prep companies and their reviews, they'd still not come close to the number of reviews we have. And remember, these are verified reviews. There's genuine love and affection there, right? And this again is something that is visible in the way students write about their entire GMAT journey and then tell us about it. So again, same thing with the numbers here. You add them all up, they'll still be less than ours, right? And finally, I think this is the best part, and this is something that we're doing here as well with this session is we do a lot of video debriefs where we just talk to students and we want to motivate you. We want to motivate you to get to these scores as well. Hear it from them so that you know where you're headed, right? And that's something that we wanted to build into the system, and that's something that we don't even want to compare with anybody because these are real life student stories. These are not about us. This is about you, right? Again, that's not comparable to anybody else, but um, that's something that I wanted to talk about. Now that I've spoken about everything, I hope that I've been able to reach to you. But this session is all about Arshita, and we're going to go into conversation with her and how she was capable of getting this 110-point jump from 640 to her subsequent 750. She's smiling now, but she was definitely smiling when she saw the score as well. So welcome, Arshita, to this time. So just a brief introduction again, other than the fact that you're not good at studying. And how did you begin your GMAT journey?
Sorry, I actually didn't get the last part.
The last part is how did you begin your GMAT journey?
Okay, so like I started when I was still in college, somewhere around March, and I decided that I want to take, either MBA or MIM courses down the line. And I knew already I'm not good with studies. If I'll take breaks, I won't make it. So I decided to start my journey while I was in touch with, studies and all. So yeah, that for sure. And then I went about GMAT Club portal a lot. That that is, I think, something every student does. I joined a lot of Facebook pages, Facebook groups. I gathered a lot of information, lot of unchannelized information for sure. So yeah, that is how I started. I started with the OG 2019, and I went about various concepts, various books, and yeah, it was a bit chaotic, I'll say. So
Got it. So it's just a very good point that you made here, right? So, and this is something that a lot of students do. They join a WhatsApp group, they join a Facebook group, they ask their friends, where should I study from? What should I do? What is the right course for me? And we have this amazing influx of information, which is all good information, well-meaning information. But does it apply to them? Maybe not. It's a very random and chaotic approach, like you mentioned. But I want to talk a little bit about. You mentioned that you're not good with studies. So, what is that metric that you measured in your mind, or you thought that you were not good in studies?
see, it's not like I haven't scored well in my school or in my, college. But the thing is that I have to put in a lot of efforts. It's not like I love studying. I open the book, I read it once, I get along with things. It's not like that. I have worked very hard for these things. I knew I'll have to put in a lot. I even gave CAT once, although I decided I don't want to, pursue my higher studies in India, so shifted to GMAT. But yeah, even there I put in a lot of efforts, and yeah, that is why I say that I'm not good with studies, but I do that work. I work hard enough to get the scores. So
Right.
that is why
I
the
think that's a
first
very
time
good
when I
point.
put,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
that is
very good
my
point. But that's something that I want to emphasize here, and we'll get back to what you were saying. I'm sorry to cut you. But the amount of effort you put in versus your result on the GMAT, and a lot of people would like to know from you that does it hurt that I put in so much of effort and this happened versus this did not happen?
Yeah, so like I talked about this in the earlier video as well, that I put in a lot of efforts. I did for the first time in my first attempt for the GMAT as well. I put in a lot of efforts and I did not get that result. I knew this exam is not just about efforts. It is about efforts, but it is not just about efforts. You have to channelize things. You have to recognize what your strengths and weaknesses are. You have to think about that yourself. People are there for you, they'll guide you and all, but you have to introspect yourself as well. I think that matters a lot.
Right. But that's a brilliant takeaway from me, right? So, step one, study hard. Please put in that effort, right? And step two, you need that kind of objective feedback from someone to tell you that, listen, you're not doing things right. So, probably get on a call with someone, get on a call with a mentor and figure out, listen, I don't think I'm doing things the right way. Can you just help me? Because objective feedback without knowing you is the key to really success, because they don't know you, they have nothing invested in your success, right? So I think that's a very, very good point you make. So let's just go back to the PPT, and now I want to show people your journey, because there's a very similar journey, and I want to talk a little bit about this as well. When we begin our preparation, and this is when I began my preparation as well, the first thing that I saw was OG, because that's the book that has all the questions. And it seems like a really good option, and it is. It's a really good book. It has the right questions. But what can get really chaotic is how you really react to those questions and understand those explanations, right? So I just want you to talk a little bit about when you were studying the OG, what are the pros and cons of doing so?
Okay, so like as it said, I discovered about OG and OG verbal. I already knew I was weak with verbal, so I started with it. OG is very good. I think like it is a source everyone should refer to, but there is, I think, one flaw, that there isn't sufficient or quantity and quality explanation for all the questions. Even if there is explanation, there is not a clear approach. They are approaching different questions in different with different methodology. You need to stick to something. You cannot just apply anything to different questions. Like CR has like 5 to 6 kinds of questions. Now you're not supposed to apply 5 to 6 kinds of method for all different types of questions. You have to stick to 1 to 2 approach maximum. You have to adapt that. So I think there, where OG lacks a little, it does not explain how you have to approach a question. It does not provide you with enough or sufficient explanation as well to why a question is wrong, why an option is wrong, right?
Yeah,
An option is right, I get it, but why is something wrong, I need to understand that as well. So
got it.
I think
That's a
there
very
is.
good point. Yeah. That's a very, very good point. I think that's something that we've all students need to know this. But having said that, great questions as well, really good bank. So if you ever have to refer to someone, OG is your thing. Now the second piece here, and that's something that you did as well, and a lot of students do this. They do the OG, and then they say, okay, now it's time to practice, practice, practice. And just before I ask you the question, we tend to do this because it's been ingrained into our system since school that you study a concept, you practice all questions you can from NCRT or whatever your book is, and you will see a similar question on the exam. The problem with the GMAT is that you will never see a same similar question, because the exam is adapting, it's evolving. So I want to hear from you on why practice can work versus why it does not work.
Okay, so for my first approach, I also went about a lot of books, a lot of practice. But I think what was missing was, identifying what you are looking for in an answer, the approach or the question. I couldn't understand that what exactly I'm looking for. It was just like I'm hunting for a right answer. Now, that is not how one should approach for GMAT. It's not a conventional Indian exam. It's not a conventional exam that you'll mug up things and you'll get the score. That's not gonna happen. So here I did a lot of questions. I did official questions, unofficial questions, but nothing was channelized. Nothing was, I did not pick up on my mistakes. This is the kind of question I'm getting wrong. It's not like CR I'm getting wrong. You have to understand, in CR I'm getting assumption wrong, weaken wrong, strengthen wrong, what wrong. Yeah, we have to understand that, and by practice it's not possible. You have to, like, when I started my prep again, so I did that a lot. The charts were telling me that assumption is what you need to work on. Inference is what you don't get right all the time. Yeah, something like that. I have to work on those things. If I just know that ठीक है CR में I'm not getting the right score, or I'm not able to hit that 8 answers I'm not getting wrong, sorry, right, and 9 answers I'm not getting right, something like that. It's not telling me that which section I need to target, right? So
Yeah.
practice
A very fair
can
point.
work.
Yeah.
So
But doesn't
practice
always work.
can work.
Practice can work, but doesn't
Yeah.
always work.
It
Got it.
also
Got it.
has to be
So,
channelized. It's not like thousand
right.
of questions.
Yeah. So now let's talk about this topic, and we'll go into conversation with you about this very specific topic, because this is something close to my heart as well. Let's just go into just conversation mode with you. So, good English skills versus GMAT verbal skills. Now, you might feel that, you know what, I'm great at English. I speak well, I can write well, I comprehend well, right? But it doesn't translate to verbal skills on the GMAT, SCCR, and RC. Now, given that I think you're from the ICSE board as well, so why does that hurt so much? Is it like an ego thing?
It doesn't hurt, like it's something like I was confident about, right? I have already said I'm not good with something. Now there's another thing I'm not good with, you know. That was something I was bothered with. I was like, ki, English I'll do. I am from an ICSE board, and I have that fluency of writing, comprehending, as you said, reading. I have read Shakespeare's novels for my curriculum, like in like from my ninth standard. So this is something I'll be able to do. But I think GMAT is more adamant about if you whether you understand English. You know, in every section they are trying to get that. So I think good English, yeah, it was like something. It hurt me a little because I think I was good with that.
So now you do agree that it hurt you a little because I can
Yeah,
understand
obviously it
that
did.
will actually make
Yeah.
sense. So let's go back into conversation with you, right? Let's just talk about what you did, after 2 months of studying, right? So what is it that you were doing while you were studying, while you were preparing, and what was the resultant of this?
Okay, so like I started with the concepts first. I did a lot of questions in my first approach. I did a lot of OG questions and all, and then I started with the mocks. It was approximately 2.5 months after starting my prep. So yeah, I did a lot of mocks. I gave Experts Global, yeah, Experts Global mock a lot. There are 15 mocks available on the portal. I was consistently scoring somewhere around 670 or 710, 720, something around that.
I want to stop you here. Just want to stop you here to
Mhm.
ask you why pick Experts Global? Is there any specific thing that you had in mind that these are the right mocks for me?
Yeah. See, I wanted quality, but I also was adamant on practice. Like practice will make me good. There were sufficient mocks according to me, and 15 mocks were available there at a decent price. So I was like, maybe I'll choose that, and I'll give 15 mocks. I'll analyze those, and practice makes. I have said that in my earlier video as well. Practice makes a man perfect. That was what ideology I was following at that point of time. So I
Yeah.
chose that 15 mocks over 5, 6, or 7 mocks that are available on other
And do you
portals.
think that was a prudent decision in foresight?
I don't regret it for sure because it was my journey and I wouldn't have, but yeah, I'll say like quantity is not something matters the most.
Quality over quantity.
Huh.
Basically, quality
Yeah,
is what it
yeah.
matters. Correct. Right. So you took two official mocks as well, right? What were your scores?
I scored in like the diagnostic was my first one, so I
Yeah.
scored something 610, 600, 610,
Yeah, I
something
think
like that.
620. Yeah. Yeah.
620. And in the second one I scored 640, 60, something around that only. I was
Yeah,
not.
it was a 640.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. And tell me something. This is a conscious call that you made, right? That you've given the mock now and you've gotten a 640. What what was the deciding factor for you that listen, even though I've got a 640, maybe I should still go and give the exam. What was going through your mind then?
See, I did not consider the first mock because that I took as a
Fair. That's
diagnostic
fair.
test.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second one, I gave the second mock. Then I gave a lot of experts global mock, and there I was scoring like 690, 700, 710. So I was like, maybe I'll touch 700, 710, something around that. And at that point of time, I was like, I think I should give a shot at least. That was my point of view. I had invested like 3 to 4 months and I was targeting something around 720, 710, 720. So I thought maybe okay, I'll give the mock. This 640 second official score was 1 month prior to my exam.
Got it.
So I thought maybe I have improved a little bit.
And so here, when you get a 640, here is where that panic mode kicked in, and you said, "Listen, let me just go crazy giving mocks. Maybe if I give a mock, I'll improve. Maybe if I give another mock, I'll improve." And by the end of giving marks, maybe I just ace the GMAT, right? And that's clearly something that that a lot of students did. So let's look at things objectively. Like the first thing that you could see was that, listen, my score is stuck. My score is stuck between this particular range, and so many students really find this problematic that my score is stuck. What do I need to do? But this is a very high level problem at the end of the day, right? You have to dig a little deeper. So you dug a little deeper, and like you mentioned, you saw that your verbal score was not improving. What was your verbal score in the expert global mock, and what was your verbal score in the official mock, the second one that you gave?
My official score in the mock was something like 28, 28 or
Yeah, 28,
20.
right? Assuming it's a six subject.
Something around that. And in my experts global, I was getting around 35, 37, something between this.
Got it.
So,
So that kind of gave you the impression that you were okay. Now, I think that must have been perplexing to you as well, that the official mock says 28. There's another mock that's saying 35. What do I believe? Whom do I believe? Excuse me. So yeah, I mean that's a problem that was used. Now you would have analyzed this at your end as well. What did you think in verbal were the issues, the clear issues that were in front of you on a very high level?
like after giving my exam, like my first attempt.
So after giving these mocks, after giving all of these
Okay.
mocks, the expert global mocks, you must have seen that, yeah, my verbal
Hmm.
score stuck at 35 or my verbal score stuck at 28. What were the things that you saw in SCCR or RC as problematic?
See, time management was one of my major problems, but apart from that, section wise, I think I was always good with CR, but I took a lot of time to solve them. Right? Getting something right, but getting something right in the right time is what matters, right? Apart from that, I was fairly good with RC, but was not at all good at SC, right? So these were the things I knew, but still I went with the exam. I was like, I'll
Got it.
score something around,
Right.
that.
And as a student, you did a good thing. You said, yeah, I do have time management issues. Yes, I did have below essay and RC accuracy, and I'm taking longer on CR questions. By the way, a lot of students don't even get to post L1 analysis. A lot of them see the visible result and see the visible problem, and that's fair. That's fair as well, because everybody is not really into the fact that, I need to get into this and figure out what's wrong, right? And here is what was, I think, the key thing that you probably missed out, the underlying problem to all of this. So time management comes with a lot of underlying problems as well, and I think you would agree with me when I say that you did have those ability gaps in SC and RC, right? Yeah, so I think that's fair to say. And like I said, it's very important to get objective feedback from someone on how to really figure out your underlying problem. Everybody's underlying problem is very different, right? Which is why you need the right study plan. So I mean, Arshad will share a link with all of you all now, where you can actually go and book a call with one of our mentors. Now I want to show you these problems. And Arshad, I think this is something that you may not have seen before as well. Uh, Timing issues. For example, in your case, you would have clicked on timing issues and said, I had timing issues, I didn't do well on the GMAT. Now, Nishant had the same things, right? And I remember Nishant because he had very similar issues. He said, I have timing issues. Now, timing issues can mean so many things in work. Now, if you really want to fix your timing issues, just go and click on the button and say, help me get to my target score, right? And this is going to take you to a page over here where you can actually, block a time on Calendly, which is very simple, which is what you probably would have done before as well. And by the way, please block a time as soon as you can because these slots fill up really fast. So let's just get back to the conversation with you. Reactionary steps. What were the first things that you did to say, let me fix verbal? What were the one, two, or three things that you did?
Like I went to that, that deep level after my first exam, like after my first attempt. So yeah, I completely understood one thing, that there was something wrong with my approach. It's not wrong how much time I'm putting in, it's about the approach. So I as you said, like I had a lot of information from all the sites coming in. I firstly blocked those. I was like, I have to first self introspect, and I have to think, for the long run. In the like initially also I knew about e-GMAT. I knew how good they were with verbal, but my problem was like I was not confident enough to rely upon a portal. I have always been a self. I always rely on self study, so I was not able to rely upon a portal or something like that. So but then when I introspected a lot, I knew that I had a chaotic approach. So I wanted to streamline that a lot. I saw your trial period, 7 days trial period that is available. I went through that, and when I saw there the videos and your Scholarium platform, I actually was like, this is something I need, this kind of analysis, like breakdown even about CR or SC, what is actually the problem there. So
Yeah.
so that I know my weak zones. I was not ready to put in another 4 months for sure and end up with a 640.
So it
So
helped you
I
reduce your preparation time, basically. You just cut your preparation time down by half.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's
that
very
for
good.
sure. Yeah, it reduced, like I was ready to give in that amount of time, but provided I get the result as well.
True, true.
I was not ready to put in 4 months and get a 640 again. Right?
I
So
think very wise decision there. I think a lot of people don't have that acceptance in them that maybe there's something wrong and I need to fix it. And these are things that a lot of students do, right? So they go to additional study resources and they say, let me try this approach, let me try that approach, let me try to fix the issues I have. Go crazy practicing questions from
right.
here, there, everywhere. And then, like you said, take mocks, just take mocks, take more mocks. And we've all been there. We've all been there. So I think that's something that you must have done too. Now you went ahead with your GMAT and you got this score right. And obviously, as you mentioned, that SC and RC were not as well something that you were seeing as your strong sections, and there was nothing wrong with the assessment that the official mock had as well. So CR was something strong, and you did well. And a V29 is not a very bad score in work. Let's remember that too. It just shows that there are certain areas that you need to work on as well, right? And this is where, I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, that we entered. And now, when we entered, and you're talking about the free trial, and Arshit can probably share the link for the free trial now as well, uh, where they get a bunch of free video lessons, you get a bunch of free questions that you can do on Scholaranium. What is the one thing that worked for you when you reached out to us? So I remember that you reached out to us and said that I need the verbal course. I'm doing this well in my mocks, but I need someone to come and fix my verbal, right? So, what is the one thing that really set us apart from anybody else?
I think the Scholarium platform and the analysis it provides you with. I'm like emphasizing, I guess, too much on the point that it breaks down even the breakdown. CRSCRC, they break down even into that. Right? And they'll give you charts also about, like, for humanities, for example, for a humanities RC, like for medium level or high level or something, moderate level, how are you in these levels as
So it's a
well.
ton of data. It's a ton of data
Yeah,
that helps you make
yeah,
better decisions.
and you can pick those things. I was not good with humanities, essays and all, so I went about practicing those kind of
Right.
passages.
So this
Right.
time, the only difference this time versus the last time was that now someone came and told you, I think a mentor from our end came and told you that, listen, your underlying problem is actually SC and RC. And that objective feedback was something that you can only receive after, getting on a call with someone, really understanding what's the issue, or even doing your own research, like the free trial, which in your case is valid and maybe not the call, right? So I think that's very commendable on your key. Now, I remember this email that you sent as well. That listen, hang on. There's three kinds of quizzes on Scholaranium. There's
Yes.
cementing, ability, and custom. And what do I make of this, right? Because this is a little confusing for me. And this is a very funny slide because a lot of people are this curious. It's very good. That this tells me that you're diligent and that you're exploring everything that needs to be explored. Um, and I want you now to talk about what is now. I want you to tell everybody what is the difference between cementing, ability, and custom.
Okay, so like for ability quizzes, I once when I discovered, right, custom quizzes are very simple. You need to decide like what level of questions, what portion like you want to target,
Your
CRSCRC.
weak topic, weak
Huh, and
topics.
the time, yeah, time limit, everything you need to decide upon yourself. That is a custom quiz. You can decide what you want to do. That is the custom quiz. So cementing quiz is basically like you have to decide upon one zone, for example, medium CR level. That is something you want to build yourself on. You want to
And why is
cement
this important?
those, right?
And why is this important? Why is cementing important?
While cementing body, you need to have a solid, base to lie upon. You have to cement your, it's very much into those words only. You have to make a concrete base. If you directly jump onto hard level, obviously you'll face that, oh, I am not good enough or something like that. You need to go about with that pace. Now, first you have to cement yourself to the easy level, then the medium, then the hard. If you want to
So
go
that
in that.
structure, that structure is very important, and that kind of helped you improve those chances of success from 10% to 25% to finally 80%. And I think Rajat would be very very happy to hear this, and whenever he sees this, the reason why it's kept cementing is exactly why you said, right? It's cementing those foundations. So now the ability quiz. What do you know about the ability quiz? Why is it important?
Ability quiz, I understood like about like according to me, it tells you what where you stand in that section. It will give you that much of time which you need
Your
for your
percentile score, your ability score.
right. It will change your level of questions which you are going to get and everything according to what GMAT gives, and it will tell you what you are going to get. What score you have or where your ability lies, how much you are prepared. So that is ability quiz.
And I'm assuming that's very important for a person like you who would have said that my SC and RC ability scores have to improve. That would have been very key for you to take an ability quiz and see those abilities improve in front of your eyes. So I think thank you for explaining to us. And now I truly know that you're a true e-GMATer. All right. Now, this is something that you've spoken about, and you've spoken about at length as well. Before I go into the slide and honestly get into my bit, I I want you to tell us why is it important to ask the question why? Why from a correct question and an incorrect question? So, and everybody wants to hear that from you, not from me. So please go ahead.
Okay, so like in my second approach, what I changed was for every answer I used to for every option I used to ask why that option is wrong and does my thinking align with the correct thinking. You might be getting something right, but it is maybe because of some other reasoning which is not justified, right? You need to know why, and that is the only way to get answers right in GMAT. As I have said, GMAT is testing whether you know English, whether you understand it, whether you are analytical enough. They are also trying to question only whys in all the question, right? Why some answer is right, why some option is wrong, or something like that. So I genuinely feel if people start asking that why this option is wrong, that will work a lot. Something is right, it's right, but why something is wrong, that is where you need to work upon.
Perfect.
So
And
yeah.
did that help you reduce the amount of time that you were taking on verbal
Yes,
questions?
specifically for like CR was my strength, but I knew there lies a weakness too, which was the timings. So I started going about elimination process. People will talk about elimination and all for SC a lot, but one thing you need to change is you don't have to go about the norms which people are telling you. You have to customize your approach according to you. So for me, CRs were very accommodating. I could do CR well, right? I reduced my time limit to like only 1.5 minutes, which is like great.
Which
So
is really
that,
fast, by the way.
yeah, I used the elimination process and I was able to do that because I knew why an option is wrong. I knew this is wrong, I'll just strike it out. I won't even think about it again. So that is how when I eliminated things, I was hardly left with one or two options, and then it's easy, then you don't have to think a lot.
Right. And were there any key skills that you learned from the CR course on e-GMAT that help you do this?
Yeah, in the videos itself, they tell you about pre-thinking. Pre-thinking is the key, but you don't have to exhaustively pre-think, and you have to accommodate elimination process as well. There is where I understood, okay, we have to apply elimination in CR as well. So I tried accommodating that, and yeah, it went out to be a great, journey for me.
Perfect. Let's look at this slide now, right? So the first question that you ask yourself is, did I know the concept or approach? And most of the people are not able to answer no. They say, yeah, I knew everything, maybe I should just solve more questions. So if the answer is no, you solve more questions. And then you say, I'll only check the explanations for incorrect questions. Now, let me remind the audience here, Arshita did not do this. This is not the approach that she followed. And I didn't want to show the slide for the very same reason. I don't want to bias you towards something. Now, the second way is, did I know the concept of approach? Yeah, I did. But I will still review the explanation and make an error log. So that's, again, something that you did, Arshit, and I think you did it really, really well. And then you verify to see, can I reduce my time in CR to 1.5 minutes? And he said, yeah, I can do that. And again, this is the right approach. But before I move on to the next slide, just want to talk about how did you maintain your error log? So is there anything specific that you did, or any format that you made it in, and how important is it?
So for error log, I used both the online e-GMAT portal and my pen and paper as well. Right, for the GMAT portal, what I did was the questions I thought, like error log, I used to create from those questions as well, which I was getting right. Okay, I used to analyze all the questions irrespective they're right or wrong. Right, and then obviously I'll bookmark them, and I'll also create notes in which I'll have my specialized emojis added to them, which are specific to me. Right? I understand that if there is a bulb there, so I have to think in that direction. I know what that bulb means to me. Maybe it doesn't mean anything to anyone else. So that is how you have to, you have to personalize your note. No one else will able to understand what you have written, right?
Got
So that is how I did. I made the bullet points for all the questions. It was then logged into my notes and my bookmark section as well. So
it.
some questions I had only bookmark, some I had bookmark and notes, some I had only notes. So it was like very personalized for me. It was a very personal. Somewhere it is a take, somewhere it is a smiley, somewhere it is something.
This is
I
beautiful. I didn't know this about your notes and all, but this is beautiful, and I think there is so much to learn from this, which is why you're talking about this and I'm not, because I never made these notes, frankly. But yeah, very, very good learning. Just to summarize what you've said now, the detailed explanations in Scholaranium, which is something that really helped. You measured your capabilities and your percentile scores with the ability quizzes. You reduced your time in CR, and again, essay is something that you have worked on as well, right? So, uh, tell me, how did the meaning-based approach help attack ambiguous essay questions on the GMAT? Because there are a lot of those, right? You know, how does that help?
So I guess meaning based approach is universal. That is a big thumbs up. It's not like you have to change your approach for every other question. You can go with the meaning based approach for all the SC questions. You know, once you start with that, don't bother a lot about how much time you are spending on reading the question stem, because once you have understood that, it's easy to eliminate. Now you don't have to do vertical elimination or something. You just have to understand whether this meaning is right, whether this meaning is wrong. You have to use the rules for sure. You have to accommodate, but meaning based approach just gives you an open night that this is the approach I'm going with, only meaning based. That's all I need to worry about. And simple rules, which once you'll start practicing, you'll start doing some question, you'll know that this is something is wrong. So that is not you have to worry about. You have to worry about whether the answer is giving the right meaning which the question stem is intending to give. That's all.
Very true.
So it is a
I wish
universal approach.
Yeah, I wish I had taken your advice before my GMAT as well. Very, very, you're talking like a subject matter expert now. And finally, I mean, you took those custom quizzes to do that, test readiness towards the end. So just going into conversation with you now, um, you know, tell me about your mock strategy. How did you take mocks after your failed attempt? What were your learnings from those expert global mocks? How did you apply them to the next ones? What did you do differently?
Okay, so Earlier, like I gave 15 mocks from expert global, right? So I used to give the entire mock. I used to start with my quant and all, then verbal, and then like something like that.
And
Now this
quant
time
was
what I
your
changed.
strength, right? So you always started with your strength, which is quant.
Yeah, I always started with my. I also gave my exam. I'm like, be confident, give something good, and then worry about the rest, right? So I always went with the quant first. I used to do that, but now when I changed, I changed my approach a little. I knew I'm good with quant. I don't need to spend like an hour and then jump to practice verbal and all and all. So even you might have noticed in my Scholaranium log that I used to create mocks of 53 minutes, 64 minutes every day, almost every day. Like that is why I loved Scholaranium. It's going to give you that freedom. Today I have like 45 minutes. I'll create a mock of that kind of mixture, my weak zones, and then I used to give that mock. I gave a lot of verbal mocks on almost every other day, and those mocks were Scholaranium quizzes only. All
So
of them
those
were,
were basically test readiness quizzes, basically mini mocks.
yeah, yeah, mini mocks. Sometimes for 53 minutes, sometimes 65 minutes. It depended how much time I had before joining my job. So in the morning I used to do that. And second which I used to do is I always tell this with this mock practice and all. I used to analyze my mocks for like 1.5 hours. Now people usually tend to spend less time on analyzing and more on attempting the question. That is the general norm. But I was like, irrespective of which answer I'm getting right, wrong, doesn't matter. I'm going to note down everything which I think needs to be jotted down. Right? I used to do that with every mock, every verbal mock, not with quant, obviously that I'm good with. So yeah, every verbal mock and every other day or every day. If you'll even check my log, it's every day almost that I gave one custom quiz of 45 or 65 minutes, something like
We
that.
will show that. Don't worry. We will get into that as well. But yeah, I think that's commendable. I think the takeaway here is it's not about just giving mocks, and maybe if you had analyzed your expert global mocks as well as you did the mini mocks, your scores may have been different as well. So very very big takeaway for everybody. And let's go back to the PPT here. So 16 days into really using the course, right? You get a V37. How did that feel? Because it's like an 8 point improvement in 16 days is phenomenal. It's genuinely phenomenal. I can see that. How did you do that? Is this magic? Please tell me it's not.
It's not. No, people will think that I'm just saying stuff over here just because I've scored my marks. I'm telling you, like, I'm not good with things. It's just that you have to have the right approach and right kind of material with you, right? And it felt amazing. Yeah, I gave my mock. It felt amazing, but I knew I had put in, the right effort. I was not giving my quant mocks because I knew I was good with that. I was doing quant at night at my comfort. I knew I can do that, but I had to approach a lot of SC or RC questions a lot. So yeah, I put in that kind of effort in those sections. Now that is what my approach was. You have to hit your weaknesses.
Yeah, which is what you did, and you can see the scores here: 73rd percentile in SC, 80th percentile in RC. You did what you had to do, and that's commendable. And now the home stretch, which is what you did in, and I told you that we will show this to everybody. And this is something
Right.
that's commendable, right? It test readiness in the last 10 days, taking these quizzes, it helps your brain get accustomed to the rigor of the GMAT exam. Because at the end of the day, it's 67 questions to be done in about 2 hours 15 minutes, which is a lot of strain. And these are adaptive questions, by the way. So if you're not ready for it, you're definitely going to fail. So a lot of students who may be doing well and are not really built for this rigor and end up scoring 30, 40 points less on their test as well, which is what did not happen in your case because you did this at the end of your journey. But and this one more thing that I want to show over here is um, the quiz results. the internal metrics that we have, and these are the data points that I was talking about to measure the 8x, 8x success, is that they clearly show me that you will hit a V40. Now I can look at these quizzes and say Arshita will hit a V40, and that's something that is commendable, because if a platform can give you that predictability, that yes, you will do well. I mean, that's the dream of every GMAT taker. Give me, validation that I'm going to do well. Right? This gives you that validation. And finally, obviously, you wrote to us and said, guys, I've scored a 750, I got a V41. Again, Ashita, very, very commendable to improve 12 points in verbal in just a matter of 30 days. I cannot emphasize this enough, because the 12 points they will pretty much change your life.
Right.
That's how emphatic it is, right? Um, and this is my message to everybody over here, right? You can be the next Arshita, and I'm sure that you want to be the next Arshita. Just go to the link that Arshit will share with you. Book a call with one of our mentors. Get that objective feedback, on where you need to improve. And you can improve by 110 points in 30 days. Arshita has shown this, and you can score a 750 as well, right? And that's a message that I wanted to leave you with, right? Arshita, again, thank you so much for coming on board. I'm going to call you back. You please don't leave. Everybody will be waiting to hear from you in the Q&A round. Again, they want to hear you. They don't want to hear me. So you will be answering the questions. I'll just help. All right. So see you in the Q&A round now, and we can go back to the PPT mode. And let me talk a little bit about customer success at e-GMAT, right? And we value this. We genuinely value customer success at e-GMAT, and it's visible. And it's visible not just before you book a call, you speak to a mentor, but after it as well. And this is where things get interesting, because after booking a call, you're talking to me, you're talking to Arshit, you're talking to Ashtosh and Nava, and you're attending an onboarding session. But now, what's an onboarding session? A lot of self-paced courses don't really tell you how to do the course well. You know, how am I even supposed to use the course? What am I supposed to do? What are the right things? And we do that, and this is where we step in and tell you, you're not doing this the right way. Let us help you. Let me come and give you that sort of piece, personalized feedback. And there's a lot of empathy here, because I've taken the GMAT. I know what you're going through. And there's a lot of empathy that you'll see from Navan and all of us as well, right? And that's very, very important. This comes after you come on board with us. And that's key. And finally, get that one-on-one attention. We all want that, right? And I think that's something that is key to all human beings. So if you haven't gotten a chance to book a call, just write to support. I'm sure one of us is going to reach out to you, and we'll open up a few slots for you. So just write to support at the rate e-gman.com, and do like this session as well, so that I can do more of these for you guys with different people and then different genres. Now, what is it that we do day in and day out? This is something that we spoke to you about, at the beginning of the session. We make customized plans for you, and students genuinely value that. We provide very, very hyper specific plans that are built to suit you. And this is again after we figure out your weaknesses, and get you to really improve on them. And that's extremely important. What I also do in addition to this is, and this is given that I do a lot of these sessions with you guys, I love giving personalized feedback. I love that one-on-one thing. And I create videos for my students that I work with. And a lot of us create these videos as well. And if you notice these videos, now in Ujjwal's case, in this video, I've also given him exactly what the issues are. The high time issue in both verbal and quant, what your true ability is, and what you need to review, what you need to do, right? And again, I mean, students, and Mohit, if you see, has written back saying that, thank you so much for a great mail and video lesson. So a mail is just not a mail. There's so much more to that sort of feedback that we give. That's one-to-one personalized feedback after you speak to your mentor. So remember that we've always got your back, right? And if we don't have your back, the subject matter support team does. And then these guys are really good. And there's testimonials with Stacy, Harsha, Arti, Bikram, all of these people. And let's not forget Shraddha. I mean, she's probably the oldest employee here at e-GMAT, and she's helped so many students do well, and there's testimonials to that. And you're backed by these guys because at the end of the day, they know their subjects so much better than we do, right? And here is something that we kind of pushed this year, and I want to talk a little bit about it because it's important to you, it's important to us, right? Because we're living in an age where we want that kind of support, that digital support from an instructor, which is why we said, okay, let's launch live sessions with Shraddha, Stacy, where you can build foundations, learn these concepts, and then practice test readiness, which is basically what Arshita did, and thereby improve your chances of success by index, right? And that's something that's very, very key. The best part about this is that you're not going to find this anywhere else, right? And that's how comprehensive our services are. And here is the selling point. It's free, guys. This 15 days free access. Go have a look at it. It's wonderful. I've attended these sessions and I absolutely love talking and seeing Payal, Shraddha, Stacy, take these sessions as well, right? Yeah. Finally, you like Arshita said, the free trial really gives you access to 200 plus Scholaranium questions. It also gives you access to private tutoring like teaching pedagogy that we have, and that can be really helpful for a lot of your students to see corporeal benefits, right? So here is something tangible that you can see, and we've made this available till the end of the week. So if Arshit can just share that link with you guys, go register for a free trial, or write to us at support, or just book a call with us, and we'd be happy to get back to you on everything. So without further ado, we're going to bring Arshita back now, and we want you guys to throw us any questions that you may have, and I'm sure that you have questions for Arshita, by the way. So let Arshita answer all of your questions, and I'm just going to look at and then help you guys. So Joel says, did CAT help you build fundamentals? And considering obviously that you started in March and 750 is something that you got in considerably short time. So uh, considerably short time is the right word for the improvement, but yeah, the sum of your work was a lot. So Arshita, I just want you to tell Joel, right? How long, and this is a very good question, by the way, how long does it take to score a 750? In your opinion, not in mine.
I cannot put a number to that. It completely depends. I honestly can't.
Okay, so
I
what does it
cannot.
depend? What does it depend on?
It depends upon the approach and your ability as well. How you're
Your
gonna go
starting
about.
ability, right?
Yeah, right. It
Perfection, and that's it, right? What's your starting ability? That's going to help us calculate where you're going to go. So, Joel, uh, take a sigma x mark, figure out what your starting ability is, and then I can definitely give you an answer on how long you can take. And so can Arshita, frankly. So that's something that's very, very interesting. Thanks, Arshita, for that. Pratap says that he's planning to take his exam before 15, and his target score is 700 plus. Now, it's very interesting that Pratap is asking you that, Arshita, I need a path to score 700 plus. Can you help Pratap? Just give him a brief idea on what he needs to do, like a few tips and tricks that work for you.
See, you need to know whether you are first good with quant or verbal. First, you need to bifurcate those things, right? Then you need to understand in that what you are weak at and target those. You need to target that a lot. You need to be consistent. You don't have to do thousands of questions in a day. You have to do 50 questions every day. That's all you need to go about. You need to have extensive your notes should be extensive. It doesn't matter if people don't understand what you have written. You should understand, and a word should mean more than just a word to you, right? If you have written something, it means like you need to know this is the type of question I'm getting wrong again and again, again and again. Now why is that? And you need to target that. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's a really good answer, and I think Pratap is thank you as well for it. In addition to this, you can definitely get a call with us, and we can do the same for you. And we always have Arshita with us. And let me emphasize this. And Arshita is here with us, and I'm sure that you're applying to grade B schools in the future. Your association does not end with your GMAT score with us. We go above and beyond our duties. And in fact, I was just having a chat with Arshita about her future prospects the day before, and I help a lot of students with this kind of thing as well, even after they get their GMAT scores, right? So it's not that you get your score, thank you, goodbye, Tata. That's not how it works here. Okay, so we have another question. Prashant is at a Q48 V30, decent score, not bad, 650 plus. He's completed all concepts of verbal, but his scores in verbal are not improving. Okay, what should his next? This is classic Arshita, so you can take this.
Okay, so he's completed all his CR
Yeah,
and SC,
yeah, he's
Yeah.
completed all his concepts in verbal for both CR and SE, but his scores are not improving in them. So how can he help? How can he improve in both of these
I
topics?
know, I have been there, sure. So, even I did all of my concepts, and as I have been saying, you need to target the section you are weak at. You cannot be weak at everything. You need to trust yourself in that. You need to analyze what you're weak at. And I'm not talking about just I'm weak with, SC or something like that. You're weak with SC, which section? In that section, what type of question? You need to target those things, and then you need to practice those extensively and consistently. And then make extensive notes, do revision a lot. If you have done like 5 to 6 mocks in like 7 8 days, and you have taken a lot of notes, keep one day to just revise the notes. You need to understand keep what you are getting wrong all the time. you know I think that will work. It takes time. It took me 1 month. So definitely you have a 30, I had a 29. It's gonna shoot up for sure.
Perfect. So he can get it done in lesser time. I think that's very, very good advice. Um, so Prashant has asked a question. I think he's asked, and by the way, Prashant scoring a 700 after not being able to complete your verbal section basically means that you can easily score 740, 750 in no time because obviously you messed up on time management, right? Now the question here is, now I'm going to give this to you, Arshita, as well, but let me answer this as well. Uh, the reason why you don't end up finishing a test is multiple, but the end all is you've either spent too long on certain questions or you've not been able to let go of certain questions in time. And it can just either be one of these two things. Now you just have to figure out, am I taking too long in SCCR RC or am I not being able to let go of SCCR or RC questions? And if I'm taking too long in SCCR and RC questions, Arshita has the solution for you. So Arshita, you can take that piece.
Okay, so as like DJ said, you're not able to give up on certain questions during the mock. You have that tendency of clinging to questions. As I said, I was good with quant, but I was targeting 50 and not 51. And the sole reason is that I was ready to skip one or two questions which I know I won't be getting right, even if I spend 15
So the
minutes in
skipping
that.
strategy,
You
which is very important.
Right. So you need to understand you don't have to get all the answers right in your exam. You have to get maximum right, not all right. So you have to, as you missed, I guess, 6 questions. If you'll just improve your time, you'll definitely score way better. 6 questions you missed. So, timing and always practice with time. Whenever I used to take
Right. So
mock,
missing six
65 minutes I have
questions.
written.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm going to come to that, Ashita. And missing six questions, by the way, Prashant basically means a very high negative score at the end, a very, very high negative verbal score at the end. So you could have done so much better by just finishing the test, even if those questions were wrong, frankly. Right? You could have scored a 720 just getting all those questions wrong as well. And the last piece that Arshita mentioned, test readiness. I mean, building up that test record to see, am I falling short of time? If you're falling short of time in those mini mocks, you'll definitely fall short of time on the test as well. There's no that connect is definitely there, right? And that's something that's very, very key. Test readiness before your test. I know we have a lot of questions on Shita, so you're gonna have to stay for a while. So Yashaditya says that I'm starting after a while. I'm starting after a year of studying. And my scores are again B29, just like yours. So again, everybody's connecting with you here. Tell him how he should begin his preparation after a year's gap.
See, first, I think you should go about concepts a little. Practice won't matter if you don't remember the concepts, so you have to spend some time on the concepts first, and then for sure, take up some mocks, understand. concept में you won't be able to judge yourself which section you are weak at or which section is your strength. Try to analyze these things in first two mocks. Maybe you'll take entire, verbal and quant together. So go that way, understand what your weak sections are, and then you try to target those. I'm telling this, target your weak section. That doesn't mean you have to leave everything else. You need to practice that, but you have to practice this more rigorously. That's all.
Perfect. I think that's again a very, very good answer. So we're going to take two last questions because I'm sure that you have a lot of questions, guys. If you have a lot of questions, write to support@e-gmat.com. And you can also book a call again. Arshit is going to share the link for that. Call us up, get some feedback, have these questions answered as well. You have people as good as Arshita and I who will answer these questions. So just going to take another question from Abhishek, right? He has a good question. He says that you were not really good with RC. What was your approach before you took e-GMAT versus after you took e-GMAT? I think very good question.
Okay, so RC, I guess there are a lot of approaches out there. People are telling like just screen through things and then target the questions. I don't recommend that. You need to understand that GMAT is trying to test whether you understand things. So you have to understand the passage. You have to analyze where those switchings are happening. You have to analyze those words. However, here the contrast is gonna get where the author's opinion is, where a generic opinion of someone about whom the author is talking. You have to understand the passage and then target the question. I used to spend like 4 or 5 minutes on the passage and people were like, you're going crazy, you don't have to spend this much of time. Target 2 to 3 minutes, that is general norm. Now you have to understand, I don't care about the general norm, I have to target my exam according to me. You have to understand the passage and then target the question. I used to do the questions in like 45 minutes, 45 seconds, sorry, 45 seconds. Every question, and I never, except from detailed question, I never used to refer back to the passage. Never. Because I
Such
just
a
took
strong
those
sense of
home
deja vu for
guessing.
me. Right, right. So very, very strong sense of deja vu for me, Arshita, because the however thing that you mentioned is something that Rajat mentions in a lot of his webinars, right? And this makes me so happy that you've been able to understand how a word can change the flow of passages, how the reading strategies that you learn at EGMAT help you create a summary. Now, again, very, very important things that you need to learn for RC. So, one last question, and then this is, I think, a universal question. Arshita, you're working, right? You have a very hectic job. We both know this. How does a working individual prepare along with a very hectic job?
Okay, so yeah, this 1 month journey was entirely while I was working at Leverage. So I knew I had to, join in at 10:30. So I am a morning person. I was like, the first thing I need to do is what matters the most to me. That was at that point of time my GMAT prep. So I started with my prep. Initially, I was going about the concepts and all, and then later I switched back to those 65 minutes mocks which you just showed them, right? So I used to give that mock. I used to like wake up at 7:30, give that mock for an hour, take a 30 minutes, uh, power walk or something like that, and then analyze a lot, and then the entire day I would think about my notes, I would review my notes, I would do quant a lot. It is a hectic journey, I'm telling you, but at night when I used to go to bed, I was like, I have fulfilled the entire day. When I used to wrap up my leverage work, I used to just I have to do now, I have to revise through things. So my thing was, start the day with what matters the most, end the day with what matters the most in between, because you don't know what's gonna happen. So it's work. You don't know what's gonna happen, when they'll need you, when they'll say just
Very well
show
put.
up for this thing.
Very, very well put. I'm really proud of you, and the way that you scored a 750 handling a job is truly commendable. So much that we have to learn from you as an organization. And I hope that you've enjoyed yourself in this session as well. People absolutely love talking to you and they resonate with you. And I hope to talk to you in the future as well, right? So, on this high, let's end this session. And Guys, please like this so that we can do more of these sessions in the future. We might have Arshita again on popular demand, and then or we might have her in a different panel, but surely we'll do more of these sessions for all of you as long as you find them useful. Thank you. Good night. Good morning, wherever you are. And Arshita, again, congratulations on your 7th.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.